Welcome, students. Now we are going to discuss the next chapter of First Flight, that is Madam Rides the Bus. This is written by Wali Kanan. Before going through this chapter, we will try to keep some important points in our mind. First, when we focus on the title of this chapter, that is Madam Rides the Bus, here Madam refers to Wali. Wali is the central character of this chapter, that is Madam rides the bus. Secondly, this chapter describes the several activities of Wali. For example, what was her desire, what was her dream, how did she make her dream true. So all these questions are discussed in this chapter, Madam Rides the Bus. Thirdly, as the title suggests, Madam rides the bus. Madam, I told you, Madam refers to Wali. Wali rides the bus. Okay, so this chapter especially focuses on the riding of the bus. And who is riding the bus? That is Madam rides the bus. In other words, we can say this chapter describes Wali's emotions, feelings, desires, anxieties, questions. All these things are discussed in the chapter Madam Rides the Bus. Now we focus on the introduction of this chapter. See, the lesson Madam Rides the Bus is about a brave 8-year-old who had a strong desire and along with it the courage to fulfill it. So first line clearly indicates that this chapter is about a brave 8-year-old girl, namely Wali, who had a desire, who had a courage to fulfill her desire. She liked gazing at the hustle and bustle of the street. Her favorite part was the sight of a bus arriving and departing. So this is the very important part of Wali's life. She likes to watch bus arriving and departing. She also looks at the hustle and bustle of the street. She loves to look in the street that is crowded. Thus, she developed a deep desire to travel by bus. So, why did she develop a deep desire to travel by bus? Because she was habitual of watching bus arriving and departing. Suddenly, desire developed in her mind that she also had a desire to travel by bus. For that, she needed all sorts of information about the bus journey, collect the bus fare, and then plan it so that she could be back at home before her mother woke up from her afternoon nap. So, this is the idea of Wali, and Wali had a desire to travel by bus, and to fulfill her desire, she collected some sort of information that is necessary, just like uh, uh, collection of the bus fare and plan when to travel by bus and how to travel by bus. Okay, thus the story brings us recounts of how innocently but responsively she fulfilled her deepest desire and her experiences on the bus ride. That is also the important part of this chapter. This chapter also describes the experiences of Wali when Wali started uh, her journey by bus. Then, what were her experiences? That is also described in this chapter. How an incident makes her realize the reality of death. That is another important experience of Wali that is described in this chapter. That is, Madam rides the bus. How an incident makes her realize the reality of death. That is also important. So, in the figure, you see that this is the figure of a Wali and who had a desire to travel by bus. So, in the figure, you can see. Now we move to first. One thing remember that the whole chapter is divided into four parts. Now we are going to discuss the first part, and this is the first paragraph of part 1. See, there was a girl named Walai Mai who was called Wali for short. So this is the general introduction of the girl. As I told you, what does the title suggest? The title suggests that Wali rides the bus. And what is the title? Madam rides the bus. Who rides the bus? Madam. And Madam here refers to Wali. Wali rides the bus. There was a girl named Walai Mai who was called Wali for short. She was 8 years old and very curious about things. Her favorite pastime was standing in the front doorway of her house, watching what was happening in the street outside. So, this is the general introduction of Wali, and she was 8 years old. Her favorite pastime was standing in the front doorway of her house and watching what was happening in the street outside. So, you can say this is the hobby of Wali. Wali loved or liked to watch the happenings in the street outside. Generally, she stood in the front doorway of her house, and from there she watched the several happenings in the street. There were no playmates of her own age on her street. This may be the reason why she used to stand uh, in the front doorway of her house, because she didn't have a playmate of her own age. This may be the reason that she was standing in the front doorway of her house. This was about all she had to do. Means these are the activities of Wali, how Wali spend her time, or what is the activity of Wali. But for Wali, standing at the front door was every bit as enjoyable as any of the elaborate games other children played. But Wali enjoyed it. When Wali stands in the front doorway of her house, she enjoys it. She likes it. And she finds that there is no difference between the playmates were playing several kind of games, and she was standing there and watching the people, watching the happenings in the street. Watching the street gave her many new unusual experiences. That is very important, you see. Remember, any of the elaborate games other children played, Watching the street gave her many new, unusual experiences, uncommon, extraordinary experiences. The most fascinating thing of all was the bus that traveled between her village and the nearest town. So, what attracted Wali? What attracted Wali? The bus. The bus traveled between her village and the nearest town, and she loved to watch the coming and the departure of the bus. She enjoyed it. She had a sort of fascination for the bus. It passed through, okay, 1 hour once going to the town. Okay, it is not visible. Okay, it passed through her street hourly. Once going to the town, one coming back. The sight of the bus filled each time with a new set of passengers was a source of unending joy for Wally. So here in this paragraph we have seen the introduction of Wally, her activities, her likes, her dislikes, and what sort of fascination she had for the bus. ओके, सो इस पैराग्राफ में हमने पाया कि यह पैराग्राफ वाली का इंट्रोडक्शन देता है, जो कि 8 ईयर्स की है, 8 ईयर्स की है, और बहुत ही क्यूरियस है चीज़ों के बारे में। और उसका पहला जो पसंदीदा चीज़ है कि वो अपने घर के दरवाजे के पास खड़ी रहती है, और वहाँ खड़ा रहना उसको बहुत अच्छा लगता है, और वहाँ पे खड़े रह के वो क्या चीज़ें घटित हो रही हैं स्ट्रीट में, उसको देखना बहुत पसंद है। और एक कारण है ऐसा उसका होने का, क्योंकि उसकी उम्र के लोग वहाँ नहीं हैं। देयर वर नो प्लेमेट्स ऑफ हर ओन एज ऑन हर स्ट्रीट। उस गली में उसकी उम्र के लोग वहाँ नहीं हैं, इसकी वजह से वहाँ खड़ी होती है और जो भी घटनाएं घटित होती हैं स्ट्रीट में उसको देखती है। ये सारी चीज़ें हैं वाली के बारे में, और वाली ऐसा करती है। लेकिन वाली के लिए अपने डोर के पास खड़ा रहना उसे अच्छा लगता है, और ये एक तरह का गेम है उसके लिए। जैसा कि अन्य बच्चे जो हैं विभिन्न प्रकार के गेम खेलते हैं, उसके लिए भी एक तरह का एक गेम है। वहाँ खड़ी रहती है और वहाँ पे लोगों को देखती है, आते हैं जाते हैं, बसें आती हैं जाती हैं, उसको देखती है, उसको एंजॉयमेंट मिलता है। और गली में जो भी घटनाएं घटित होती हैं उसको देखती है, उसको नए नए अनुभव होते हैं। लेकिन इनमें सबसे ज़्यादा उसे आकर्षित जो चीज़ लगती थी, बस लगती थी, जो कि ट्रैवल करती थी उसके गांव से और पास में ही टाउन तक के बीच में बस ट्रैवल करती थी। उसको देखना, इस चीज़ को देखना उसे बहुत अच्छा लगता था, और इस तरह से वो अपने समय जो है व्यतीत करती थी। और बस भी क्या है, एक जाती थी दूसरी आती थी, और बस के दृश्य को देखना उसे बहुत अच्छा लगता था। और जब भी बस आती थी उसमें कई पैसेंजर्स होते थे, ठीक है, उन पैसेंजर्स को देख करके वाली को बहुत अच्छा लगता था। So here in this paragraph you have noticed 2 or 3 points. First, introduction of the chief character, that is Wali, and her activity, her desire, what did she like, what did she not like. So all these things are described in this paragraph, and most importantly she liked the sight of the bus. When she saw the bus, she found that a set of passengers came out of it and entered. When she saw it, she was happy. She was delighted when set of passengers came out of the bus and entered the bus. It is extreme source of joy for Wali. So here we have seen the first paragraph. Okay.